I think if you're looking for an end time sign outside of the things you look at in the news, I think you need to look no further than the entire music industry, because music is is such a big part of life, really. I mean, music. I mean, everyone talks about music, different kinds of music. I'm a little bit into music, not that much, but most of the music out there, I mean, is I mean, there's a lot of really demonic music out there. I mean, the entire music industry, there's a lot of bad and demonic music out there. And I think that's a huge end time sign of now, to know that we are in the end times. Because you think back to the days of Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, um, dead singers, living singers, but there's never been what we have now in the music industry, the way it is. This has to be the last crop of singers and musicians and different people. And so I think that's a huge sign. I was meaning to do a video about the entire music industry, just overall. And there is some talent, and there is some music that I like. There is, but I'm really fussy about what kind of music I listen to. And most of the songs that I hear on the radio and what's out there, I just really dislike it. And I think it's just sounds like noise. And there's so many singers that are horrible, and they have no talent. They're just horrible. The rap hip hop generally, I think, is a sewer pit. The rap hip hop, I think, is the sewer pit of the entire music industry. And there is just a few that do a different type of rap, where it's rap, but it's not hardcore rap, and they have some decent music. And I'll name, like, Pitbull is one of the better ones. I'd say is Pitbull is one of the better in that genre. But the rap hip, I can't stand it. I mean, I think it's an absolute serpent, and it's demonic. Most of it is demonic. It's just horrible, and the lyrics are horrible, horrible. I hate it, most of it. And you just look at the Super Bowl halftime show, this next one that they're going to have, and we already know who they pick. They picked this Puerto Rican guy, Bad Bunny, and I'm not really familiar, but I know from what I've heard, and he's not a good choice for the Super Bowl halftime show. Why would they pick Bad Bunny? Some of that most people aren't familiar with. A lot of his music he speaks in Spanish. It's just there's so many better choices. Why would they pick someone like him to do the halftime? So just as another example of why I think the music industry is end time stuff. It's terrible in these last days. This type of music that they're giving us, and they don't have any talent. They're so boring and just awful. So a lot of these artists, and there's too many of them. I'll mention some names that I think are, and I'll give some opinions here and there. Like Taylor Swift has a few good ones. The Ophelia, not too bad, and there's a few others. But I'm not a Swiftie, but not too bad. There's some. She's one of the better. Bruno Mars, among the men, one of the better. Not too bad compared to other men. Generally, there's more better females than males. Actually, there's better. Surprisingly, there's better female vocalists than the male ones. There's less male ones that are any good for some reason. A lot of the male ones are terrible. A lot of them, they're terrible. Um, and and again, back again to like Super Bowl halftime show. Like, why did they pick Bad Bunny? This Puerto Rican guy. Like, why did they pick him? Like, they could have. There's so many better choices they could have made of artists out there to do this year's Super Bowl halftime show, which is one of the highlights. And they pick, it's going to be awful. It's going to be boring because that's not a good choice. We know that's a terrible choice. Out of there's you know hundreds. There's hundreds of artists they could have picked for the Super Bowl halftime show. How do they come up with that choice? Oh, let's out of the thousands of artists, let's go with this guy, Bad Bunny. That's our choice. Really? That's a terrible choice, and it's just another sign of the times that they would make a choice like that. Um, and there's other singers that are not as famous as Taylor Swift, and they should be more famous because I think they have some good hits, and they could do a great halftime show, much better than Bad Bunny. this horrible choice that they're giving us. And I'll just mention a few. There's Sia, who, and Sia's not as she is famous, but not as much as Taylor Swift, and she has some really good hits. And there's Ava Max, who's very talented, and she's not anywhere near as famous as Taylor Swift, but she has some good hits. And so there's lesser known artists that should be more famous and are underrated. And then they got the people at the top that are horrible. A lot of them, they're horrible, and they can't produce music, and they think they're talented, but they're not. They're not. They're boring. They're horrible. And as soon as I hear their music, I change the station. I turn it off just to not listen to that noise.